Alleluia.
So moving out of the hot kitchen and then going into the guest department was indeed quite a change for me. The guest department is set up to look after the experience week who come each week in the foundation on a Saturday. People arrive and they do what is known as the Experience Week. I talked a little bit about that in my very early times at the foundation. But one's job as focalizer, you co-focalize, so there were two of you always who looked after the group of guests that came in each week. And on a Saturday you would sit in the Beech Tree Room, which is in Cluny, and greet all these people who came each week. And they came from all over the world, so it was always incredibly interesting finding out what these people did in their lives. Before they arrived, they were asked to write a letter, and one got to read these letters. And it was just a short introduction on who they were and what they were doing in their lives. So reading about these people and then meeting them and trying to decide who came through the door, who this person was always very exciting. And then on Saturday in the afternoon you started the whole of the Experience Week, and this was often for many people a time of being in a group experience which they'd never had before. So every week varied. It was always a very varied experience each time, and some weeks people opened up and were very keen to share their innermost thoughts, and other times the people were not into that and they wanted to be more quieter. So, and in many ways it was up to the two focalizers of the group to in some ways set the tone of how the week was going to be. And in the opening session each of the focalizers was asked to share part of their lives. And always for myself each week there was this decision to make. Do I come out as a gay man to this group? How safe is that going to be for me? Because I don't want to alienate anyone because of my sexuality, but because it is so much part of who I am, I've usually felt that I needed to say this. I can't actually remember any week that I didn't, but I'm sure that particularly at the beginning of my time in the guest department, I'm sure that I probably held back a bit until I got much more experience, and then I didn't mind. I thought, okay, well, sometimes it's a challenge for people to have to work with someone who's gay. Mostly I found it really served the group that was there, and often during the week a mother would come up to me and talk about their son and say, well, I think my son is gay, or I know my son is gay, and it's great to see you here in this group. So yeah, it really served the group, I think, on the whole. And then, of course, during the week they worked in the different departments that they chose, and then we got together and went on outings and did group work. And I have to say that this was probably the best time in my time at the Findhorn Foundation. I loved doing this work. During this time also, there was one other person who was a gay in the community, or who was openly gay, Lesbians seems to have always been more prominent in the community than gay men. It's a fairly isolating place to be if you're gay, and I have to say that I found it, at one time I think I was the only gay guy in the community. And that was a pretty lonely time. Not that I wasn't supported by other people in the community, I was, but there's a huge difference about being supported by straight people and then also talking with another gay man. So Niels was eventually back there in the community, and one of the things that we set up was a meditation on a Wednesday evening, holding this meditation for people with HIV and AIDS. And we used to do this every week, and it was always very interesting. Sometimes people came to it and sometimes it was just the two of us, but it was something that we felt was very important to do and was important for the community to see gay people doing this kind of thing. He and I had always wanted to do workshops, and we wanted to have experience weeks for gay men. But at that time there was some resistance within the community for that to happen, and I'll talk more about that at a later stage. I guess really I have to say that my time in the guest department was, as I've said, incredibly wonderful, and I got a huge amount of experience from working with those groups, and it is a real learning curve working with large groups, because many of the times there's a lot of conflict that happens within groups. There's always somebody who challenges another person, and then we as vocalizers have to find a way to work through that and to find a space where each of those people who have conflict are heard and are listened to, and hopefully they can work through that and come out the other end of it. Yeah, and as this was the last department that I worked in the foundation, towards the end of my time there, I really found that I wanted to have more contact with another man, sexually, of course. It's a very lonely place to be, and after 3 years of being there, it was my first time that I've ever lived on my own and been on my own. And so many times I felt very sad about being alone. But I knew that it was a great experience for me to be alone and to find a way to be with myself sexually alone. And so it was a real gift to be there. But towards the end of my time, I came to the decision that I thought I really need to step outside of the community and go back into the world, so to speak, and see how I can be back in the world again. And is it possible for me to find another relationship? Because I think relationships of what I've always wanted to have in my life, they have definitely been my learning curve. That has been, I believe, my reason for being here, to be in relationship with another man. It came to the time when I went to the community and asked if I could have some time out of the community so I could step back in to Brighton, for instance, which is where I came back to, and see how that was for me. So they agreed to let me step out, and with an agreement that I could come back if I wanted to. So that was my next step, and so it looked to me as if my time at the foundation was pretty well over. But I'll talk about the next step another time. Bye now.